Democrats got crushed in the Tennessee special election. You see, this was Nashville, and Aftyn, Behn, the Democrat, was embroiled in a scandal because apparently on several podcasts, I think it was more than once, she disparaged Nashville. In one instance, she said she hates everything that makes Nashville a hit. She tried walking it back, saying, of course, sometimes I get frustrated with things in Nashville. Well, if you're going to try and represent a congressional district where Nashville is, maybe don't badmouth Nashville. But the truth is, she had said this a while ago, and these are her true feelings, and now she's trying to walk it back because she wants to win an election. Well, she didn't. She got crushed by 9 points, and Slate is asking, why are Democrats celebrating? Well, it's quite simple. Democrats are smirking that in an R plus 22 just a year ago, they've whittled it down to an R plus 9. Aha! So we've lost, but we've chipped away substantially at the MAGA base. And this is just another trend. You see, with Virginia, New Jersey, and PA, this leftward shift the New York Times is tracking has Democrats doing a little dance, getting excited for 2026. The call sheet prediction market suggests that Democrats are way more likely to win the House in 2026 than they were only a month or a few months ago. Perhaps, I say, perhaps. But, my friends, there's a great assessment from Matt Brainerd breaking down. Don't be stupid, Democrats. You shouldn't be celebrating this. It's actually quite simple. This is a special election. Republicans don't pay attention. And no big organization was pumping money into this. In 2026, when we go full-bore politics, Republicans are going to reinvest in areas where they need to win, and Democrats are not. Or I should say, Democrats are not going to invest in those same places. To put it bluntly, this election only was close because Democrats were pumping money into it as they have nothing else going on. So when the midterm actually comes up, this district is safe, be it 22 points or 9 points. Democrats aren't going to waste money in areas where they know they can't win. Republicans didn't even try. And Matt Van Epps won this district. But let me break down the news for you and show you the current results, but I do love this. Democrats just lost an election by 9 points. Why are they celebrating? Oh, he's going to give you that assessment saying it's a good year. A moral victory is worth 0 votes in the House. But it may well be a sign that the party is in for a good year in 2026. Now, to be completely honest, that may be the case. It may actually be that they do win. And far be it from me to tell the prediction markets they're wrong. But I actually still maintain that's not a guarantee. It depends on what Trump does. It depends on what the House does. But the one thing I will say, the one thing I will give the Democrats is that Republicans are do-nothing losers, and we're all demoralized. That's the sad reality. Perhaps this R plus 22 actually could have maintained a bit more of the Republican edge if Republicans in the House did anything, literally anything. Right now, Donald Trump's he indicted, his DOJ indicted Comey, and then a judge threw that out, threw out the U.S. attorney. How about this, guys? How about we get a Russiagate panel, or how about we get a committee on corruption, and then you start impanel, you bring these people in from New York and from Georgia and Wisconsin who are targeting Trump's lawyers. You subpoena them, and if they refuse to testify, you lock them up. That's what Democrats did. So you come to me and you say, Tim, you should vote Republican, and I say, why? Now, that being said, I still do think this idea that Democrats are a shoo-in for 2026 is incorrect. I do think they have a good chance, history predicts, but I'm just saying it's not a done deal as of yet. But to be honest, if Democrats do take the House in 2026, I will not be surprised. Slate reports, in a deep red district that Trump won by more than 20 points in 2024, Democratic State Rep Aftyn Behn dramatically closed the gap into the high single digits with over 95% of precincts reporting. Republican Matt Van Epps had won a 54% to 45% victory over the Democratic candidate, who had become a progressive darling and right-wing bugbear in recent weeks. The race was a bellwether for 26, and Democrats hailed the results. It's not, you're wrong. And anybody who did a basic logical assessment of this election would conclude similarly. And the same thing with Virginia. Here, let me put it like this, my friends. Here's the call sheet prediction market. And which party will win the U.S. House next year? 76.3%. Yeah. Okay, well, this is what the people seem to think. And in October, the end of October, it was 57 to 42, 58 to 42. And now here we are with Democrats pulling up a massive lead of 76% likelihood to take the House. I believe this is because people don't actually understand. Now, the call sheet prediction market was wrong about Jay Jones winning in Virginia. He was the underdog after he came out saying that he wanted the children of his opponents to die murdered in their arms. Creepy. And that he would want to kill Republicans. Yep. Maybe the Republicans should have released that audio right away. But, they didn't. And now we have this guy in Virginia, which is insane. I guess their concern was if they put it out too early, they'll just swap candidates. Sure. And then you'll get some, I'd rather some like morally weak but corrupt Democrat than the Democrat saying he wants to murder people. But whatever. I guess both are bad. Sure. It was a gambit. Didn't work. But they were wrong. And it's entirely possible this is wrong too. But, prediction markets tend to be correct. They do. They're right more often than they're wrong. So shout out to Kalshi for the, But I don't know that it's right. And I'm going to break down for you exactly why. So, again, they're celebrating and saying it's a bellwether for 2026. And here's what they actually wrote. Want to know if Democrats can retake the House next year? Look at what's happening in Tennessee today. I just want to say, when you're a first-order thinker, you'd say something like this. Well, my friends, here's Matt Braynard with the actual logic. Matt Braynard says the media will make a big deal about how much closer the Tennessee 7 special was than the presidential as some kind of referendum, but this is fundamentally dumb. Don't fall for it. I'm probably the only person who's going to explain the reality to you, and no media outlet is going to have me on, so you'll have to read it right here. Well, I'm Timcast, love you. In the 2024 congressional election, a strong, longtime incumbent ran with zero primary, Mark Green, and outspent the Democrat $2.2 million to $1.2 million. And there was no outside money involved on either side. Green won by 21.5%. So when they come out and say this is a Republican plus 22 a year ago and now Republican plus 9, hold your horses. In the 2024 presidential election in this district, effectively zero money was spent by either presidential campaign. And Republicans were energized in a state they were always expected to win. Democrats didn't spend money in there. They said, don't, because we're going to lose no matter what. Spend the money in more effective places. In the 25 special election, Republicans fought a brutal and very nasty primary. And the eventual winner, Van Epps, walked away with barely 50% of the vote. The Democrat raised a lot of money and had substantial outside investment in turnout in the urban parts of the district. This is evidenced by the largest swing being in the most black and Democrat county, Davidson, which Behn won by 56 points. When both the Democrat and Republican campaigns are fully funded and have strong outside support, this district is more competitive than when there is minimal spending there. But even with the Democrats getting full support, it's still an L for them. So in the general election, this money will instead go to more competitive districts, and Republican money will also go elsewhere. Republicans will be better united as time heals divisions from the primary, and the typical margin of victory will return. One factor here is that Democrat money does a better job turning their voters out than Republican money does turning our voters out, and that's a discussion for another day. And he has this image from the New York Times. In every county, Van Epps won except Davidson. And I think do we have the image here? I'm pretty sure I have the New York Times. I can just pull this up for you. Now, they say everything swung left. Look at Nashville, Davidson County. She actually won by more, 78%. Wow. Matt Van Epps basically won everything else. And even though they're showing this massive swing, still, Van Epps, no, he's right, by plus 56. That's right, plus 56. And I think they have, here's another map. You can see Nashville is blue, unsurprising, but the more rural and suburban areas outside, Franklin, et cetera, very much went Republican. What does this mean? Democrats be celebrating way too soon, and they're calling it a bellwether for 26. But here's the truth. As Matt Brainerd already pointed out, my friends, please hear me. Democrats are not going to spend in these deep districts. Being an R+9 means it's a waste of money for any Democrat. Look at this. In Nashville, sure, she won, and it's funny because she hates Nashville, but whatever. She came out and said she didn't. I know. The point is this. There are going to be many. I got to grab 270 to win for you guys, and we're going to talk about the real issues that we are facing. If we go to the House for the 2026 interactive map, you are not going to see Nashville is not going to be a very serious consideration. The entire state is red, save for, what is this? Tennessee's 9th district. Steve Cohen, he's been in since 2007. Strong incumbent chances. So they don't need to spend money there. And then you've got Tennessee's 7th. Mark Green resigned. And as we know now, it is Matt Van Epps. They're not going to want to spend money here. Take a look at these beige areas. These are your money pits, okay? Right now, Republicans are favored to win just on polling alone 209 congressional seats to Democrats 206. There are 20 seats that are toss-ups. This is where the money will be spent, not Nashville. The reason money's getting spent in Nashville right now is because Democrats know if they dump money in these special elections, they can erode the Republican thin majority in the House right now. Now, moving into the midterms, there are a lot of questions. Currently, Donald Trump's polling is bad, but polling is largely meaningless. Let's pull up Donald Trump's polls here from the old Real Clear Politics aggregate, and we'll break down what's going on. Donald Trump currently enjoys a -12 spread in the polls. Now, if you're a diehard MAGA Republican and you're saying, but Trump, the polls are lying, well, you're going to lose. Now, I do think it's fair to say, as I often do, like Gallup putting Trump at -24 is ridiculous. Because literally like the day before, during a similar period, you've got RMG putting him at -7. I will say, however, pay attention to Rasmussen, who has Trump currently at -9, and they're typically very favorable. I think it's fair to say one thing is true. While each of these individual polls may be wrong, they're kind of in the ballpark. And what they're showing us is movement. That is, over time, Donald Trump's polling, his approval rating is declining. It's getting bad. I don't know that I believe it's -12. That's the aggregate. Because so many of these polls are ridiculous. -22 from Reuters, -24 from Gallup, -20 from CBS. Spare me. I don't buy that. But -9 I do. And so, to be honest, -12 is not too far off. If Rasmussen has him at -9, and they tend to poll very favorably for Donald Trump, Trump's hurting. And this is going to matter. Currently, you've got his unfavorability at -9.4, relatively similar, and the Republican Party favorability at -12. However, Democrat Party favorability is -22. So, right now, the generic congressional vote is skewed Democrat plus 5.6. The insinuation being, based on the polls, when people are asked, you vote in Democrat, Republican in Congress, Democrats win. However, methodology matters, and these polls mean very little to me because you're obviously going to have many deep urban districts. It's very easy to overpoll Democrats, and the generic doesn't mean much. We need to know what's going to happen in New Mexico's 2nd district. We need to know what's going to happen in Arizona's 6th. We need to know what's going to happen in Texas 28. All right, that's a toss-up, and that's Henry Cuellar. That's supposed to be deep Democrat territory, but it's all skewing to the right. Now, there is going to be a detriment for Donald Trump. In these Texas border districts, they're usually blue. Then the border crisis turns some of them red or push them towards toss-up. But now that Trump secured the border, people don't see the problem anymore, and they're going to vote for whoever lies to them best. Now, I do believe Democrats stand a strong chance of taking the House. And that will be the apocalypse in this country. The apocalypse, my friends. Donald Trump will be impeached. There will be media personnel is likely getting subpoenaed and things like this. They're like Bannon was. They're going to start going after anyone they can because civil strife. Fine, we'll say we're in civil strife. The political parties, well, Democrats, I should say, are ruthless and willing to destroy and harm anybody who stands in their way. It's pretty crazy. It's not paranoia. It's true. The Attorney General under the Biden administration held a press conference where he falsely maligned me, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, and many others, claiming that we had been secretly paid by Russia to spread propaganda. Now, many people say, I'll tell you this: the mistake I made was commenting at all. I should have just said, "There's nothing in there that says me. Y'all are wrong." But you see, we're honest. And this gave them the opportunity, and we made that mistake because they're evil. They are evil. And the reality is, nothing's changed at Timcast. Revenues are still fantastic. Still doing all the same shows. The Culture War show, actually bigger than it's ever been, with massive stage shows, sellout shows at comedy clubs. Wow. Getting millions of views. But they lied. And the reason they did it was to malign me and others, to damage our brands and credibility, and to try and cheat in the election by creating false narratives. And it was fake. The whole thing was a scam. Because I have a few questions. I mean, how often does the AG hold press conferences to make claims with no evidence? Seriously. An indictment of two people who are in Eastern Europe. We don't know what they look like. We don't know where they live. We've got no proof any of this actually happened. And what they did was they claimed we were being paid to spread propaganda, despite the fact it was a licensing agreement, meaning we literally still produce all the exact same content, hold all the exact same conversations. My opinions on the Ukraine war hasn't changed at all, with or without any kind of licensing agreement. Evil people will come, and they will burn this country to the ground. And Merrick Garland should be in prison. Merrick Garland is an evil man. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what Trump is willing to do, and so far he's been willing to do nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a little rough. Obviously, he's trying something, but they're not doing enough. It's really not Trump's fault. I would say it's the Republicans. The Republicans are pathetic. Mike Johnson is weak. The Republican Party is garbage. So, that being said, the only motivation that we have to vote Republican is out of fear that Democrats will knife us in the back. Yep. That's not going to motivate your average working class American. It's not going to do it. They're going to ask why the prices haven't gone down. They're going to ask why prices have gone up. We do have this from Deciding to Win that I brought up a couple days ago, and I think it is important in this context as well. The important thing to understand, my friends, is that Democrats greatly favor issues no one cares about. Seriously. On the issues that actually matter, they don't talk about it. So let's scroll down to the Does It Matter index on, I think it's what's popular and what's not. I think it's here. Here we go. Cost of living is the most important issue to voters, and they trust Democrats at -6. The economy is 81, -9. Inflation, 77, -10. Taxes, 74, -9. Now, this is still more like the generic congressional ballot. This is asking everybody. So it's hard to know how this will impact an individual district. Will the Republicans actually be able to win? I hate the Republicans so much. I just hate the Republicans. Democrats are evil. I don't like them either. I hate them both. But man, the Republicans are the Washington Generals to the Democrats' Harlem Globetrotters. Maybe we just need some real people to run. I don't know. I'm not convinced that running on personal vendettas or culture war issues is going to net you these victories. But Democrats are campaigning on the stupidest things imaginable, like LGBTQ issues and whatever. Regular voters are just like, I don't know or care. But the problem is the economy is not doing well right now. And the narrative is that the Republicans are bad. The only edge we have is that even Democrats' internal polling shows people may not like what Republicans do, but they're better than Democrats. So then where are we? Where do we go from here? Okay. Republicans are do-nothings and will likely do nothing. And for that, we may lose. Because right now, messaging is the most important thing. And they've always been suit-wearing squares who won't get the job done. We need a little brutality. We don't have it. Democrats, on the other hand, are going to start locking up their political opponents. Well, sorry, they've already done it, like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. And they'll do more. Donald Trump, if they ever gain power again. So I suppose, my friends, we will see how the Republicans play this moving into the midterm year. But I'll add, too, with Virginia, they say, oh, this looks really good for Democrats. No, it doesn't. The government was shut down, and Northern Virginia is almost entirely D.C. federal workers. They were pissed off, and Virginia was already competitive. Republicans didn't turn out. It happens. But what will happen in the midterms? There is a disadvantage Republicans have because without Trump, people don't turn out. Fair. But I don't think it's going to be a clean slam dunk for Democrats. I do, however, think they have a strong edge. They have definitely. The likelihood they win is great. I'm just saying it's not a guarantee. And that says a lot. We'll see if Republicans can muster up any strength. The one thing that really concerns me, I should say, the one thing I find truly disconcerting, to correct the grammar, is the faltering of Turning Point USA. The death of Charlie Kirk. Charlie would have won the Republicans the midterms. Without him, can Turning Point still be that force? I believe it will be a force, but certainly not the force it could have been. We'll see. Smash the like button, share the show, stay tuned. More to come. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next segment.